Welcome to Seeing Beyond, Living Transformed, a space to connect with spiritual insights, open-minded perspective, and healing transformation. Hosts Kelley Eckhardt and Cheryl Murphy are working evidential psychic mediums, spiritual teachers, and published authors who are coming together in friendship and teamwork to serve through the energy of spirit, healing, and animal communication. Each week, we invite you to join in a mixture of candid discussions, visits from guests and experts, intuitive development, and live readings to encourage everyone while exploring their multifaceted spiritual path. Come ready with questions and curiosities. And now, here are your hosts, Cheryl Murphy and Kelley Eckhardt.
Well, hello, good afternoon, namaste. Welcome everyone to our show today, Seeing Beyond, Living Transformed. We have a great show for today. As you're tuning in, as you're coming online, please say hello. We'd love to say hello back. And I would like to say hello to my co-host, Kelley Eckhardt. Hi, Kelley.
Hi, Cheryl. I'm so excited to be on the show this week because we have a guest, Jared the Medium, and I'd like to introduce him. Is now a good time?
Now's a great time.
Let's grab him up here. So let me introduce you guys to Jared the Medium. He's an evidential medium known for his raw, honest, and down-to-earth approach to spirit communication. He delivers clear, specific messages that help people reconnect with loved ones, while also showing that this ability isn't just for a select few. It's something everyone can learn to connect with. What sets Jared apart is his transparency. During his readings, he openly walks people through his process in real time, allowing audiences to not only experience the connection, but understand how it happens. He's also the creator of the show Medium-Sized Ego, where he blends live demonstrations with teaching in real conversations about intuition, ego, and the human experience.
Well, that is amazing. Hey, Jared.
Hi, thank you. That was very nice. Thank you.
You're so welcome. So Jared and I are doing a dem in May, and I thought it would be really great to introduce him to our audience and let everybody get to know him and tell you guys about our amazing dem in Sacramento as well. And also, Jared's really an interesting character, and I think it'll be fun to interview him and let everybody get to know him. He's a medium in his own way, and I love that about him. He just does it his style, and it's very unique, and I love it. It's entertaining, it's fun, and he's very accurate. So yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic. Well, look, before we ask Jared some questions and get to our topic today, which is all about trusting your inner knowing, Kelley, tell us more about the demonstration you're doing. When is it in Sacramento?
It's Saturday, May 2nd, right? It's at 5:30 p.m.
Okay, Sacramento. And where is it being held?
The Mandarin Event Center off of Business Park Drive in Rancho Cordova.
Excellent, excellent.
It's part of a fair, right, Jared?
Yeah, it's part of the New Earth fair. So
Yeah.
yes.
Oh, that's excellent.
So we'll be at the end of the fair.
Yes.
So in-person mediumship demonstration. That sounds wonderful. Thank you for doing that. It's going to be a great event. I can already tell, and I've already heard like half the tickets are gone, or, like they're really going, you guys. I know you have some VIP specials too. So that's wonderful.
Very exciting. Yes.
That's great. Well, and please, whenever possible, our producer can put up those links for everyone watching. You can see those links, or definitely go to Kelley's website, mediumkelley.com. Also, Jared's website, if you want to learn about Jared and you're meeting him for the first time, it's jaredthemedium.com.
Yes, and you can purchase tickets on Jared's website at jaredthemedium.com/events as well. And
that's wonderful. Well, look, how did you guys meet? We should ask how.
I'd love to share that. So I don't know. Can I share my story first? Because I'm sure it's different than yours.
Okay, let's do it.
So on Facebook, I kept seeing this person, Jared the Medium, and I was like, who's this Jared the Medium? Where'd he come from in Sacramento? Because for years, there weren't a lot of mediums that you
Oh,
would see on Facebook in Sacramento. I felt like I was like the lonely one sometimes, you know? And then I had an open mic night, and Jared came and was one of the mediums at open mic night at my crystal store, and I got to meet him and his wife. And he did amazing, and he had a bunch of skeptics in the audience, and it was really fun to watch how he dealt with them. And they were all medical doctors. We had like almost half the audience was like doctors. Their wives dragged them. It was really cool. And it was really fun, and we got to meet him, and I really liked him and his wife, and my husband and him hit it off. And then we started running into him at Soul Search, and we were like following him around, really. No, just kidding. My husband's like, is Jared going to be there? Let's go to Soul Search. He liked Jared and he wanted to hang out with him. So that's kind of how it started. And I think our first time ever hanging out, we ran into him by accident at a restaurant in Reno. And my husband has that back injury. And for some reason, my husband took his shoes and his socks off in this fancy, like 5-star restaurant, like a steakhouse. And as we're leaving, he couldn't find his sock. And Jared kindly got under the table and dug for my husband's sock. So humiliated. So yeah, he knows us intimately. He's in my husband's sock.
That's when I knew you were my people.
That's my story.
that's Kelley's story about how you guys met.
Yeah, how did we meet, Jared?
Yeah, so same thing. Like I saw a lot of Kelley online and just different events and stuff. I'd always see her as somebody who was a local, and so when it was neat that when she was doing the event, she was doing events that were made to help other people, and that's what I liked about it. Like she was building everybody else up. Like, please come and practice. Let me give you a place that you can practice. And so it was a neat place for me to take some of my students and people that I was working with and let them kind of practice and see. So I always appreciated that Kelley, that's what I like about Kelley, is that she's always about lifting other people up and helping other mediums. And so I was like, yeah, let's go check it out. And we just hit it off, and we really like Paul and Kelley. And so, yeah, we've run into them all over the place, and we go to dinners. It's funny. The dinner she's talking about, it's actually funnier than this, because before the sock one,
He heard us talking.
So me and Wendy went to dinner, and we were sitting in a booth, but they showed up, and they sat in a booth kind of on the other side, but we could hear them. We kind of knew they were there. So I started messing with them, and I'm like, and I heard my name. And so I'm like, what are you talking about, me, or something along those lines? And they're doing this. They're looking around.
I was like, where's he at?
They're like, where is he? And so I kind of messed with them a little bit. And, so that's
funny. Yeah, it was funny. Because we were like, where's he at? Is he listening to us?
So the last time we went out to a nice dinner, I brought Paul a gift. I had in a bag. I bought him a pair of socks. And I said, just in case you need these later, I gave him a little present. So that's
yeah, it was funny. So it really, like, we've never had like a couple friend that was medium too. So it's kind of cool. And he's a contractor.
Oh, is he? Oh,
so
my.
We'll have that in common, and yeah.
Definitely. So much in common. Well, how amazing and really meant for you guys to meet and to really be part of what a wonderful, organization, being part of Sacramento. Now you guys are working, events together. I mean, this is really going to be wonderful for that area. Yeah.
Yeah. So me and Wendy went to go support Kelley as she was doing a gallery the other day in Sacramento. And so we went just to go support and hang out, and we got to watch Kelley work. And I don't know that I've ever seen her, do a live gallery, but as we were sitting there, we were like, man, so Wendy actually had the idea when I was offered to do this gallery event. Wendy said, well, you should invite Kelley. And I'm like, man, that's a great idea. We'll have, because again, my style is a lot different, and not that it's better.
Different. No, there's different.
It's just very different. Yeah. And so we had this idea to show, both sides, show different sides of mediumship at the same time. I think it's going to be very attractive. I think a lot of people are going to enjoy it. I do
too. Yeah, I think it'll be fun. Good energy. We got to bring them in dancing.
Yeah.
Last time I had to make everybody stand up at my den, because it was a quiet crowd in the beginning, and it made me nervous. So I was like, no, this isn't working. Everybody stand up and move.
No,
Yeah.
it was really good what you did there in that moment, because it was getting very like the
Yeah.
energy was low, and she's like
Yeah.
made everybody clap for a minute, and then
Hey,
it changed everything. And so yeah, it really works. I mean,
It
that's
does.
great. I've never done it in the moment like that, like you did. Was a great idea.
I learned that from James von Prague.
oh yeah.
I
Oh,
was at
great.
a dem of his, and he started the dem off like that, and then an hour into the dem, it started getting a little, and he made everybody get up
Mhm.
and dance, and he played that song "Happy" by Pharrell Williams, and he
Yeah.
was dancing on stage, walking through the audience, dancing with everybody for like 5
Oh,
minutes, and then it picked up again.
oh,
Yeah,
it's great. That's
yeah. So
wonderful.
I'm
Well,
like,
Yeah,
I'm just
"What gonna do?"
ex-
I
yeah.
don't feel like I have the state of mind while I'm reading to do that, but like Wendy always does that before I come into the room. She'll get the
Mhm.
crowd cheering and all,
Yeah,
get the energy all up, and
yeah,
it really, and so she'll do that for me. She's really
that's
good about
nice.
that.
Oh,
Yeah,
it's
you're lucky. Yeah.
amazing. And look, guys, this really feels like such a high vibe already. And I know just for tickets, it's being posted. And once again, for everyone, if you're in the Sacramento area or if you can make it, you're going to see Kelley Eckhardt and Jared the Medium in person. Please join them on May 2nd. Tickets are available at jaredthemedium.com, and also Medium Kelley Eckhardt, mediumkelly.com has amazing events. And you're also showcasing that May
Yeah,
2nd on your
on my
website.
events page, it'll just
Mhm.
take you to his page.
Wonderful. Well, it's so
Yeah.
great to have you, Jared, and so great to be a part of this. And look, we were kind of asking you earlier about your wizardry and your like, how did you get into mediumship? Like Kelley and I, we're going to share our stories, but how did you get into it?
Well, I think my dad died when I was 2 years old, and so I think that I could always communicate with him since I was little. I just thought that was a normal. I kind of thought it was normal that you could talk to your loved ones. I thought that was kind of normal when I was little, and then you get a little older and people tell you no, that's not real, and so I kind of shut it off, and just or just pretended like I didn't talk about it type of, and so I kind of got away from it for a long time. So I think that's kind of what made me open to it, was the fact that I had communicated with him when I was younger.
Hmm.
But I've always been very empathic. I've always been emotionally just like more sensitive than most people. And my story takes me into drugs and alcohol. So I ended up with strong addiction issues, which again I find a lot of empaths do, to numb all that.
Yeah.
But I've always been able. Spirits have always come in time of need and asked for help over the years, and so my story, like I said, it kind of goes up and down. It's like this big battle I've always had with, I call it ego, but it's fear, it's drugs and alcohol. And so every time I would be doing well, or I would get sober for a while, my abilities would just come on super strong, and spirits would start showing up. And then, again, that's where the wizard comes from. I thought when that would happen, I thought I was like, one day I was walking by a TV and there was this commercial in the background, and I would just get these chills that were so strong, and it just hit me like strong, like, whoa, what's going on? I turned and I looked, and it was a commercial for John Edwards crossing over. So, and I stopped dead in my tracks, and I looked at this commercial, and I said, that's what I do. I didn't even know it was a thing. I didn't know what a medium was at that time. I didn't know. I had no idea that it was a thing. I just knew that was important. I got chills from head to toe, which meant pay attention, because I had learned to trust that. And I looked at it and I said, that's what I do. And again, in that moment, I thought I was going to be this famous, wizard. That's where the ego, like, that's the battle for me, right? The ego came in immediately. And so I went out trying to do the work, and of course it didn't work for me because I was doing it for the wrong reasons, or the ego was in the way. And so my story is a lot of this. Like, at that moment, I knew I was a medium. I knew I was supposed to do this work, but every time I would try to do it for the wrong reasons or with the wrong effort, it would just pull the rug out from under me, and it wouldn't work. So I just kept kind of battling with it off and on, off and on. So again, what it taught me was to be in real good control of my ego, myself, my what gets in the way. It's taught me how to deal with all that stuff that always gets in the way, which has allowed me to teach people who struggle with it. So that's kind of why I teach.
That's how we learn, right? We have those experiences, and then fortunately you're able to share that and teach that. I mean, that was amazing what you were just explaining. And is that how you came upon the medium-sized ego? Is that how we
Yeah.
came?
So at this point, I was, I've been a professional medium for a while, but again, it's always the same. But so here's how it works for me. Like I saw the banner that says start your own TV show, and I got my chills from spirit that says you're going to do that, right? And I'm like, and my ego goes, I'm going to be famous. I'm going to make that's it. This is my show. And I'm going to, and so my plan, the funny part, my plan was I was going to make a show. I was just going to showcase my abilities. It's going to be amazing. And so I start recording the show. I get up in front of a crowd, and the first thing that comes out of my mouth is, I'm afraid. Sometimes I'm wrong. Like, this is scary. Like the truth actually came out. Like I didn't mean, that's not what my plan was, to showcase my abilities. And what ended up happening is I got up there and I just told them, I spoke from the heart and told them, what's really going on and how the fear creeps in sometimes and how I got to battle the ego and how I can't let, and so I just got up there and was just straight honest and and then started teaching while I was reading. I just started showing them, like, this is the symbol I get. Doesn't mean I know for sure. It just means talk about this. So all that stuff just happened in the moment.
Oh my gosh.
And so again, in recovery, we talk about the ego being middle-sized, right? Like you can't have no ego, or I definitely am getting in front of a room full of 100 people. You can't get rid of ego. That's not true, right? But you can't let ego get too big, or I lose the ability. I lose the ability to connect when my ego gets too big.
Right.
So you keep the ego middle size. So that's where medium-sized ego, play on words, came from.
I love it.
Yeah.
You gotta have a balance. I mean, with all things, like, an ego is important. Like you said, like, we all have a little bit of an ego. It's a human trait, but it can get out of control. I've seen people where it gets out of control. I'm the opposite. Like, I have to work on my ego. I'm always like in my head going, I can't do that. You're not good enough, Kelley. So I've got the opposite one, but I'm always working through it and overcoming it. Yeah.
Well, and there's a lot of definitions of ego, right? And again, what most people think of is egotistical when you say ego, but you're right. The way ego is tells me I'm not good enough. I can't do this. I'm going to fail. I'm going to get in front of this room full of people right now, and all of a sudden I'm not going to get anything. That's still ego. It is just.
Yeah, it's a different. I think I always think mine's more confidence, lack of confidence. But I think I've overcome that, because there was a time where I couldn't even get up on a stage, and that was like, 5 years. I think the first time I got up on a stage was with Cheryl and Allison, 2019.
Yeah.
I literally, I took all these classes for, being a platform medium with some great mediums. And I did it in like the classroom. But even like the first time I like literally I threw up everywhere. Like right before I was supposed to go up, I just puked my guts out, because I have like severe, stage fright. I always have. So I finally got over it one day. I just said, this is enough. I need to get on this darn stage. And I did it it was a Thomas John event that he didn't show up.
I remember that.
And Allison's like, go ahead, you could do 2 readings. I was like, I'm going to do this. And I was so excited, and I totally forgot that I was scared, and I loved it, and I had the best time. And then she's like, you can't tell Thomas. I didn't tell him. And I was like, oh no. I was like, I wanted to share with everybody that I did, so I couldn't tell anybody, because he told her she could do it with Cheryl, but not me. Well, he probably would have been fine with me, but she didn't want to ask him.
Oh, you were amazing. It was a fun event. It turned out to be a fun event, and it worked out really well.
It did, and I was like, okay, I got over it, and that was when I got over it. Now I've been pushing myself to do that more and more. But I have a lot of fear, and the funny thing is that I've been doing so many of these in-person events at my shop that weren't, sometimes we had like 75 people. But like, I wasn't up there doing the demos. It was other people. So when I did the one at the Goddess Festival recently, literally like an hour before, I suddenly started getting like sick to my stomach and feeling nauseous and like getting nervous. And I'm like, oh, this is so weird. I thought I was over this. So I actually got nervous for that event.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They always say it's good to have a little bit of nerves, right? To be a little bit nervous, right? Because that means you're on your toes, and you're very aware of what's happening, and it could also be spirit wanting to join you, but I know that spirit is brought both of you to this, not only today's radio show, but brought two of you together to do some events in Sacramento and even more. So that's so exciting.
Yeah. And I see we have so many amazing
Yeah.
people commenting. I just want to say hello to everybody and thank you all for being here. And I see new names and I see names I recognize. But yeah, and I see somebody said my hair looked cute earlier, and I was saying
Aw.
thank you. I chopped off about almost 12 inches. Yeah,
Oh.
I got tired of it. It was heavy.
Well, can I just kind of lead into the title or the theme
Yeah,
for today?
let's do that
I
because we're
mean,
like,
Jared did a great job earlier talking about trusting his knowing or trusting his intuition, because that's the theme of our show today is how to trust that inner knowing. And, so many people have doubts and fears. And first we should like maybe tell people like, what is the inner knowing? Why do people not feel they have it? Or maybe give them some suggestions on how to trust it, right? Because it does come down to, like you said, it comes down to that feeling, that knowing. And Jared, you mentioned you felt it from head to toe when you saw that John Edwards commercial. You just knew it. It was that inner knowing. You explained it beautifully.
yeah. And here's a great question that just popped up from Justice Jody. How do you know whether your feeling comes from a healthy place in order to trust it? If I can ask that. And I think that's a great question. We should all answer that, like each of us, because I know for me, it's like my body tells me. I
Mhm.
I have like stomach aches if I'm doing the wrong thing, and if it's the right thing, like it just feels good in my body. I don't know how to explain that other than that. Like my body knows. And then sometimes for me, there'll be something that just I hear it in my head. And when I see it, I'm like, okay, I know I'm supposed to do that. It's like there's no doubting it, even though I have no idea why. I just trust it and follow it. When I'm trying to do something I think I'm supposed to do, and I'm feeling in my body that weird feeling like this isn't right, I trust that now. I used to argue with it, but I've learned that I
Mhm.
trust it. So that's how it
Mhm.
works for me. I don't know about you two,
Yeah, yeah.
Cheryl.
Well, for me, I know when I have an inner knowing, I feel like it's kind of an assurance or a reassurance in my heart. I just feel like tingles also in my belly, like my gut instinct. So I always want to tell people like it is, you can feel it in your body, as Kelley said, or Jared was explaining, is it's kind of a tingling or a feeling. You can sense it. And believe me, I even hear it sometimes that this is a good thing. And I even just stay with the feeling, even in my meditations. And for me, when I trust my inner knowing, it's calm, and it's a feel good. It's not chaotic. It's not noisy. It's more of a calm, soothing feeling, I'll say.
Yeah. What
What
about you, Jared?
Mhm.
Well, I have struggled with this a lot over the years, and again, the thing that makes this better is practice, in my opinion. Like again,
Mhm.
now I trust it pretty quickly. I mean, you guys have been trusting it for so long. It's hard to remember how much doubt in the beginning you might have. And again, this is why I can relay this a lot. But I like to tell this story because in the beginning, I used to always like in the beginning, I'd get what I would call a bad feeling. Like I would get
Mhm.
the chills and I would
Mhm.
be like, there's a bad feeling. And
Mhm.
I used to describe it as a bad feeling all the time. And it would always be like, I'd get this intense feeling and all my friends when I was a kid knew like to trust that. And it would be like, I got a bad feeling. And so over and over again, things would happen and I would have a bad feeling that something was going to happen. And one day I started thinking about this and I started realizing it kind of transformed from a bad feeling to I realized, I just got out of that trouble. I was 5 minutes away from that accident because I got a bad feeling. And I
Mhm.
had to realize, why would something bad, if it was a bad thing, why would it help me? Why has it been warning me that something bad was going to happen? Why would it be giving me a heads up before the bad thing?
Mhm.
And I realized I had been making it a bad feeling. I had been
Mhm.
associating it with a bad feeling. So it completely changed the way I looked at it. And it really allowed me to start listening to it and saying, okay, something's out there helping me. This is a
Yeah.
good thing. There's something
Mhm.
warning me something bad's going to
Yeah.
happen. And once I changed that mindset and I changed it to thinking that way, it really opened the door for me. And again, like I get chills, and now I trust those chills more
Mhm.
than anything in the world. When I get chills, I know that's my guide, my whatever it is, I don't know, telling me yes, and that's strong, and I 100% know to trust that now. But that took years of practice for me to trust that. And that took me testing those waters and going, okay, I got the chills. Should I listen? And then getting yeses and getting, in life, getting better and just trusting it. And over time, I now have faith in that.
Yeah.
I had to practice it first.
Yes. And can we just touch on Justice said she has CPTSD, so she can't trust what is coming from the right place, and that she experiences body schemas, so she's rarely properly in the body. I can totally relate, Justice. I also have CPTSD from childhood trauma and other things, and it's taken me a long time to trust it. I think that's why it took me so long to really get into my development. I wasn't until my 40s when I started developing, even though I've had this gift my whole life, because I really wanted to argue and fight with it and not trust it. And because of that, I got married to my first husband, which I don't regret because I have 2 beautiful children, but I had every sign in the book telling me not to walk down the aisle with that, especially like the morning I woke up. I had all kinds of like the universe was really trying to intervene. And I was like 22 and I'm just like ignoring it all, So I totally understand that. It's taken me years to really embrace it. I would say a really good therapist would help you. Some hypnotherapy has helped me. And a really good therapist, hypnotherapy, and I'm considering, because I'm still dealing with my CPTSD, ketamine therapy, but they've all helped me. And I would say the biggest thing that's helped me is meditation. So I wish you the best, Jody. Yeah.
And as Jared and Kelley have been saying, and myself included, is that it does take practice. I mean, this is something you develop over time, and it's never 100%. It's different each time on different situations, and it comes to you differently each time too. Sometimes it may be a feeling, sometimes you may hear something, sometimes you may hear or feel someone else, a colleague say something, and that could be, trusting. But, trust is a big word, right? And I just keep feeling 2026 is where trust is becoming more important, where we really want to step into knowing ourselves, trusting ourselves. And like both of you have mentioned, it is a daily practice.
Yeah, it is. It is a lot of practice. It really didn't start clicking for me till I started meditating. And at the time I had a really fantastic therapist, years ago, and she really helped me a lot. She was more of a holistic approach, and we did some hypnotherapy, and she did this thing that's called regression therapy, where you go back and you live the trauma and you like live it and then recreate it in a new way and let it release it. So I did a lot of that, and it really helped. It was the beginning. Yeah.
So I'd love to just ask our viewers at this moment, who has felt an inner knowing, and have they felt it in their body? Let us know, where have you felt your inner knowing? Where have you felt that intuition happening? A lot of people do say the gut, which is number one, but maybe you felt it in other ways. Jared mentioned tingling on your head or on your toes. Where is it that you guys feel it? Some people call it angel bumps, right? Or chills, right? Different ways. But we'd love to hear from our viewers and our audience, because we know we're here to teach and to share our message and to help strengthen you and your development on how to trust your inner knowing.
We got 2 really great questions in here that I thought we could add to diving into. Where did it go? Right here. Well, there's this one right here. How do you work with your emotions and stress in your body everyday life as a medium? And that's a great question. I get asked that from a lot of people when they find out what I do. And for me, it was when somebody taught me that I can manage my own energy. I mean, that was such an eye-opening thing. I had no clue I was in charge of this gift. I could turn it on and off, and I was in control, and I didn't believe it at first. So I did a lot of testing, and I would talk to spirit and say, all right, I'm going to sleep. Nobody can bother me tonight. And if anybody bothered me, then I wouldn't believe it. Right. So then I started believing that, and it started working. So it's a mindset for me. And so when I'm not working, I'm off now. But for 42 years or 41 years, I was walking around wide open, absorbing everything and feeling the stress and the anxiety. And I had trouble driving, and I was sick all the time. So it was a big game changer for me to realize that my mind controls my body, not the spirit world, and that I'm in control and that they cannot control me and they can't bother me if I say no. So I have rules for me. Yeah, that was a big thing for me. What about you?
That's great. That's great. Well, just for me, I mean, really, we start understanding energy, right? So mediumship is learning about energy. And when I started learning that, thoughts are energy, right? That's the big thing, right? Thoughts are energy. Thoughts are energy forms. And we have to be responsible where our thoughts, our behaviors, our actions, try to be grounded. I know that when I really practice grounding and getting centered, my intuition just went up. And I always want to share one more thing. When I didn't do this on purpose, I felt spirit guided me because I had a really big revelation in this meditation retreat I was on, as I practiced forgiveness. And I practiced forgiveness without even knowing that's what I was doing. But that was the meditation I stepped into. And then after my meditation of forgiving just even little things, you just start little, and then maybe one or two of the big things you need to forgive. And then you really realize it's about forgiving yourself. And once that after that meditation where I practiced that, I came back home, I got back into my work. Oh my gosh, my intuition really just unfolded. So I really want to tell people it's there for everyone to trust, and it's available. And it is about, taking your time and relaxing into it. I know a lot of people want to push and trust their inner knowing right away, but we have to kind of go 2 steps forward, 1 step back sometimes, and that's perfectly okay.
Yeah. The other comment I wanted to find, I just don't see it anymore. It's like it completely disappeared because it was right by that one. And it was somebody was asking about demonic stuff. Like, how do you know it's not a demonic feeling, or like they're not guiding you? And I just thought it was a good question, but I don't know where it went. So, well,
I guess can I ask Jared a question? I wanted to ask you about trusting your inner knowing, Jared, because you said that, why do you think people are having a hard time trusting their inner knowing? You had mentioned it was out of fear, maybe, when you were doing that. So do you think fear is like number one, would you
100%.
say?
Fear is behind pretty much everything. So yeah, I think fear is the biggest part of it. I mean, one of the biggest mistakes I think people make is we try to practice this on ourselves, right? We try to get in knowing for ourselves, and it's a lot harder to get information for ourselves because the fear gets in the way, right? Like, who do I have more fear about than myself? But as a medium, we've practiced this on strangers. And when you practice it on strangers, you get more and more confidence, you get more and more control, you get more and more, it's easier to get information for a stranger than it is for me to read for myself. If spirit comes to me, for instance, and says, you need to quit this job today and start your own business. Okay. True story. This happened, right? Now, I'm immediately going to take that information. I got it clear from spirit. I heard the message, but what I take in is, when I'm more financially stable, I should think about starting the process of doing my own business. Do you see what I did with it? I took it and I switched it with my own fear, my own wants, I have skin in the game, right? So that's what happens most of the time, is I take that information and mix it in with myself. It's the same reason I don't want to know anything about somebody I'm reading, because then I'm going to mix it with that information that's coming from spirit. And so I think that's what gets in the way most of the time for people. And what I've done in the past is I get that information, I mix it with my fears, I implement it with my fear, and doesn't work. And I say, this isn't real. I can't trust my intuition.
Yeah.
That's such a great example. You put a real life situation to it, something that you also experienced that you can share with us, because that's exactly what happens is we spin it to our benefit, even though it's not what really spirit was like, you can go ahead and do it now. And we're like, whoa, wait.
Yeah.
Are we not sure? So, right. Yeah.
And the same thing happens with our loved ones. Like, I get a message from my wife, right? Like, I use this example all the time. A message from my wife that she needs to quit her job, and I did the same thing. I said, well, when we're, if she quits her job, that's half of our income, like, it just immediately, I've got fear in there, right? If it's a complete stranger, I get it and I give it without altering it. And so again, a lot of people practice this on themselves or the people closest to them, and I think that's one of the mistakes that convinces people that they can't trust their intuition. So I think that's part of what happens, and that's why I like what Kelley was doing for helping creating a place for people to practice.
We all need to practice.
Because what you're saying is when you're reading someone you've never met, it's very objective, right?
Yeah.
It's like a fresh slate, right?
Mhm.
And so therefore, when you are getting information that resonates with the person, or if they can't understand, then it feels good. It feels good that you're the medium giving information that can be received, and then you kind of do take it to mean that you are making that connection, and you can start having a little bit more confidence in yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true though. I mean, it's hard. I get a lot of insight from spirit, not necessarily my intuition. So my whole life they've come to me in dreams and woken me up to tell me things, and I've always listened. And the last time that like they woke me up, and it was usually it was when somebody was dying, but it was my ex-husband, the one I shouldn't have married, that they tried to tell me and I ignored. That's the one time I didn't listen.
Hmm.
They woke me up one time at 1:30 in the morning and said it was my dad, it was my first boyfriend who had died, and it was my 5 guides, these 5 angels I called them, but now I know who they are. They're like my guides, right? And they woke me up and they said, "Wake the kids up, get them in the car and get out of the house now. You're going to die if you don't."
Hmm.
And I woke everybody up at 1:30 in the morning and we left and I asked for a divorce. And he was probably going to kill me that night because he'd already tried to once before. And it was like I never went back,
Hmm.
and that was spirit telling me. And then
Hmm.
the other thing was they showed me Paul in
Hmm.
my dreams after I left my husband. Paul and I had already known each other and worked together, and they kept showing him in dreams, telling him that was my soulmate and putting us in a jacuzzi. And I was like, this is a weird dream. He's my boss. No. I was like, and then Paul started hitting on me, and I was like, what is going on here? So, yeah, spirit showed me my husband. That one I kind of argued with him over. But a lot of times, the really good insight I get from my teams, my spirit people,
Yeah.
they like to wake me up at night and tell me things.
Well, and trusting that too, that that's them, and that,
Well, I trust
that.
that over my gut back then. Now I trust my
Mhm.
gut just as much, but back then I
Mhm.
didn't trust my gut. Yeah.
Good point. Good point.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, what an amazing conversation today, and really helpful, because a lot of people do come to me and ask me about trust because they have doubts. They have doubts. And I think it's because they're not sure what intuition feels like, or how does it come to us? How do we receive a sign, a note? How do we
Yeah.
understand that this is intuition? And what we're all doing today on the show so beautifully is we're trying to explain it's a feeling. It's that gut hunch. It's that practice of uh, opening up your intuition, and that it's okay to have fear and doubt. We have to tell people this is so important. Like, you're very normal to have fear and doubt. This is a healthy way to practice and to take it slow, to take it one step at a time. Maybe get in with a mediumship group, or a circle, a development circle. Take some classes. Would you recommend, Jared, that maybe that take some classes, step up into that?
Mhm.
Yeah, so I do have a circle that I do once a month also online, and so that's the only reason I still do that circle is just a place for people to come and practice, and for strangers to come in so that you can get around strangers and see, see
Mhm.
how this works, because I think it's so important. I mean, that's how I developed,
Yeah.
was just in circles. But
Practice, practice, practice. Yeah.
I just think it's so critical to get people around, people they don't know, to see if this is real or not for them, to see what those feelings are. And obviously everybody's different, right? Like, I'm an empath. I feel stuff very deeply, but my wife, she's just a knower. Like,
Yeah.
she just knows it. She doesn't know how she knows it. She doesn't have a feeling with it. She just knows things.
Mhm.
And I don't understand that. So I don't get that. But for me, it's different. I feel everything. I see, so it could be different for everybody. That's important, I think, to mention.
Yeah, it is different for everybody. And I think that's really important to mention because for my husband, he's very intuitive and he's taken a lot of classes now, like beginner classes. He always takes beginner classes and he always thinks that everyone's lying to him and he doesn't believe them. And I'm like, the more you do it, the more you'll get. So he did a week-long one with uh, Tony Stockwell in Hawaii with me. And he was working with all these professional mediums and some that were beginner levels, like they were all levels on that, and he held his own the whole week, and by, like, day 3, I think it all clicked, and he was like, "I get it now, I understand, like, I know now." And I thought that was really cool, but it took him like practicing for 3 whole days all day long with all these different people, different exercises before it really clicked. The whole time he kept saying he was like faking it or making it up. And I was like, you're not. He said he thought he was making it up. I said, a lot of people think that. We think like we're just making this story up in our head. But I said, you were getting validation from everybody. He says, well, yeah, they said yes, but I think they were just being nice. I said, no, they're not nice. If you're not, they're not going to be nice. They want to help you. Like, that's how people are, you know, they want to help. So he was like, it took him a long time to trust it. He still doesn't 100% trust it, but he's totally open to it now.
Oh, that's great. That's
and
great.
then I knew he worked with you for a day, Jared, and I feel like you broke through some barriers with his blocks on it as well. And I don't know if he worked with you before we went to the Hawaii trip or after. I think it was before.
Yeah, I think it was before. Yeah.
Yeah. But he's really open to it, and it's been a slow process for him. He's been taking classes for like 4 years off and on with me.
So one of those things that I was talking about earlier, like one of the things I noticed by, you know, my history, my story that I talked about having recovery and getting sober, and then and the part about getting sober wasn't what my abilities would come back. It was the healthiness, you know, the clearing the wreckage of me, not being afraid of, you know, my past. It wasn't about the drugs or alcohol. It was about the you know, getting better, you know, not being afraid, right, of looking at myself, basically, is the way I like to describe it. But one time Spirit came to me and they're like, you know, everybody wants Spirit to be louder. Everybody wants us to be louder so they can hear us. Like they think, if, you know, and I describe it like the billboard. I used to think that what you guys were doing was closing your eyes, and in the darkness, a billboard would appear, and you'd be like, which way should I go? And it would flash neon and say left. You know, that's what I thought you guys were doing. You know, that's what I thought when I watched you guys do this work. And so that's what I was trying to do. Right. And it's not like that. It's just subtle. It's so much more subtle than that. Yeah. And Spirit came to me one day, and you know, in a message, they said to me, you know, everybody wants us to be louder. You want us to speak louder. But what you really need to do, you want to hear our voice louder. What you need to do is you need to know your own voice, so that when we speak to you, you'll know the difference. And so that was really important for me to realize, and it went along with my recovery and going, yeah, you're right. If I can't listen to my own voice, if I'm afraid to even look at that, then how am I going to know when Spirit speaks? Because sometimes it sounds just like my voice. It's not different. It's the same. It sounds like my voice in my head. So how do I know, like the lady asked the question, how do I know if this is me or Spirit? This is what I get all the time. And the truth is, because I know me. Yeah. And my first indication is, that's not something I think of. That's not a word I know. Right. I would not tell myself to quit a job. I'm too afraid. So because I know myself so well, and something I got out of working program and stuff, because I know myself so well, when a thought comes in that's not mine, I can recognize it as maybe possibly being Spirit. Again, it's not a for sure thing, but that's my first indication. And I always like to use this example. I was doing a gallery, and this lady's in the back of the room. She's holding this baby, and I'm standing there in front of all these people. It's like 150 people in this room. And I'm like, I go to read her, and in my head, I hear, this baby burps like a sailor. This is what I like. This is, and I look around the room, and I say to myself, there's no way I'm going to say that in front of all these people. But then the next thought in my head is, you're right. I would have never thought that. I would have never thought to say that. You're right. I would.
They're not your thoughts.
It has to be Spirit. And sure enough, and I cleaned it up a little. It was funny. I cleaned it up. I said, does your baby burp really loud? And she responded with, like a sailor.
Oh shit! Well, oh my gosh.
And so again, there's an example of knowing my own fears, like again, my own fears, my own thoughts, my own ideas, and because I know them so well, I can recognize other ones.
Yeah, like you said, it's a thought or an inspired thought that came to you that you never would have thought of on your own, right? So that's also how we know that it's a knowing, or it's our inner knowing. And I do want to always leave this with people. You know, if there's one thing everyone can remember in our show, is that in inner knowing and trusting it, that inner knowing that's coming to us to teach us, it's positive, it's inspirational, right? It's loving. You know, anytime you receive any messages from Spirit, you know, or your loved ones, it's always going to be supportive, loving, kind, right? If it's anything but that, you know, if it starts to get negative or doubtful, right, then that's not really the inner knowing. That's more of a step back, take a break, go back into meditation. It could be more of an ego. It could be more of your mind in some way, and that could be the fear that we're speaking of.
Fear, yeah. Yeah, because I've never had spirit say anything or be mean to me. I've only had people. So I've always say like I'm more drawn or more comfortable around spirit than I am with people. But for me, ever since like I remember being in the spirit world, I remember physically being born in my whole first year of life and like so vividly as if it was like just yesterday. It's all like in my mind like that, all my memories. So for me as a kid, I feel like I was always kind of part here and always like part there. And I think I've always astro traveled and I never really settled down on earth until after age 7. That's my belief. That's because if I look back at my childhood, like I just didn't want to be here. I just wanted to be over there. It was a great place. So I always say, I don't fear the spirit world. I don't fear spirits. I only fear people, because I've only had anything but love from the other side and guidance that was very supportive and understanding where I never really got that here. So I always say that's my go-to. That's home for me.
And and that spirit has a sense of humor. I mean, this is the amazing thing too. I mean, burp like a sailor,
Yes.
I don't know where we're going to go next in this conversation, but the word imagination does keep coming up. People are asking this question, and Kelley briefly touched on it, but it is through the imagination where we can open up that creative side of ourselves or anything like that to really open up to the world of spirit. It's more of an expansion, I'll say. So when you can use your imagination and your creativity, do things you love to do, that's really going to help open you up to your true knowing or that inner knowing. Do you guys want to add to that?
I love to do with all my beginner classes. I like to have everybody do art and I have them draw each other and then do readings from that. So I give them a little picture of just like a circle, like a body, right? With lines on the side. And I tell them, that's your, sitter, color everything, use crayons and get them all to be creative because I want them to get out of their thinking mind and to get in that creative side and really play around and then write notes of what the colors mean and how, because I want to get them really out of it, like thinking of it like we're connecting with a person or I'm connecting with spirit, like we're drawing this, we're going to color it. It gives people a little freedom to open up their minds, I feel like. And I think creativity is the most important. That's why kids are so open and so like straightforward about it. Like when Aiden was little, like I wish I could have been that good. I mean, he was like a trans medium walking around emulating different spirit people and acting like them and talking with like accents and different things and like around random people. And then he'd give them messages. And I'm like, who does that? Like kids are so open and so like ready. Now he's 19 and he's like, Hilbeck, I didn't do that. That didn't happen. Or like, I don't know what you're talking about. Like he wants no part of it. But yeah, he did that. And kids are like that. They're very open. So that's why creativity is, I think, so important. So important.
Yeah. And natural for them too. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Jared, would you also say that, people say, I don't have enough, life experience for spirit to know who I am. But I think you would agree, Jared, that we want life experience. Like spirit will use your life experience to give you those messages or that inner knowing. And maybe the more life experiences you have, like go out there and travel or see the world or read a book or whatever that is to get you kind of out of your comfort zone. Yeah. Would you agree? Like spirit can use that to help you?
Yeah, not only that, but it's how I realized that, it's how I actually healed from my past. One day, not one day, but over time, I realized that my past, all this stuff I'd been through, because I've got a pretty bad past, I was able to look at it one day and say, hey, this all happened for a reason because I can help these people with it.
Yes.
And that came from doing exactly what you're saying. Like it's no coincidence that I get a bunch of people in recovery who come to me for readings. It's not, and they don't know. It's that's who God sends me. That's who spirit sends me. That's because those are the people I can help. Like I have that ability to help those people. I get some rough people because I've been through rough stuff and I tell them how it is. Like I don't sugarcoat it because I've been there and I can understand it. So God, spirit, whatever you believe, whatever you believe this is, uses me in the way that I've had this life experience, which means it happened for a reason for me. And when I was able to be like, hey, this life I've been through, this is a good thing. This happened for a reason.
Yeah.
I'm healed. That's healing right there. That's what I think healing is. Healing is when you get to that point where you can look back and say, this happened for a reason. And
It's true. Yeah.
and it's a miracle. I mean, it really is.
It's,
In my past, it's a miracle.
it's funny that you get those people, because I get those people too. For some reason, I attract those people for like psychic readings, but also mediumship. I get all the alcoholic fathers in spirit, because my dad was an alcoholic, and I get all of the dysfunctional families in spirit, and all of the and then I get a lot of psychic families coming to me with like autistic children, because like high functioning, I get all of those people. And it's funny how spirit uses like your life events. And I think also I have to be careful because my mother was mentally ill, so I'm always being careful of what I'm putting out on my website and what I say, because my words or my energy sometimes could attract the mentally ill as well, because I've surrounded myself or grew up around a lot of mentally ill people. So I have a tendency to attract that as well in my work. It's interesting, but I think it's kind of cool. But it makes me look at myself. Why is that? Why am I attracting not the right people that I want? Not that there's anything wrong with mentally ill, but I'm not necessarily the right person to help them, So, because I mean, mental health runs on my whole family. So it's just interesting that like we have this energy from our past, from our knowledge, and then we have to be careful, I think, how we put it out there so we attract the right ones that want the help, not the ones that don't. Does that make sense?
It does. It does. And look, our conversation, I'm just looking at the time going, well, I don't know where this hour went.
I know. Well, let's share. Do you have any events you want to share real quick, Cheryl, before we finish up?
Thank you. Thanks, Kelley. I will share with everyone. I have a beautiful small group reading event online happening this coming Thursday in just a couple of days. There's still a ticket or two left if you'd like to join me. It's called my Circle of Love event. Small group readings this coming Thursday online. I'd love to have you join us. Just everyone gets a reading. And then I have an amazing, lovely fundraiser that I do with my students that I teach, that I work with in mediumship. And that's happening April 28th. So that's an online fundraiser, and 100% of the proceeds for these tickets, which are nominal fee, 100% of the proceeds go to a nonprofit organization that we select one every few months. So I'll tell you more about that, but please join us either this Thursday, both events if you wish, and next, once again, Monday. And then I have more events for May, but I'll save them till next week because I want to hear more about the two of you and what you're up to.
Yeah. Well, so I'll just say real quick, I have a couple things I wanted to announce real quick. I finally put up my 6-month mentorship, which I've been working on for like the whole year. I've never done a 6-month one. I've always done 3 months. I've expanded it. I'm offering a lot of cool things with it. If you sign up for the 6-month mentorship, you also will get my psychic sit-ups for 50% off. And there will be an additional in-person workshop at the end for anybody that wants to attend in LA as well, but that's going to be an additional fee. It just depends on how many people want to join. Yeah. And then I have also my one-on-one mentoring that's still up, and I have a few open, or I think 2 open spots because I'm limiting it to just 5. And yeah, and then Jared and I have this exciting event on May 2nd here in Sacramento. I can't wait for that. Yeah. Do you have anything exciting coming up besides the May 2nd one? And if you want to get tickets for that, it's on jaredthemedium.com events.
Events, yeah. So check it out. And just VIPs left. The VIP is going to give you the chance to enter a drawing with a free reading from me, a free reading from Kelley, and a free entry into my circle on Thursday nights. And also a bunch of other goodies. There's going to be tea from the tea lady in there, and there's going to be some other goodies in there. So
maybe a few crystals.
Maybe a few crystals. So yeah, so there's a few spots left. I'm not exactly sure right now how many, but they went fast. The VIPs actually sold faster than the general admission. So
which is so cool.
That's pretty neat. Yeah.
That's very cool.
Yeah, jaredthemedium.com events. All my stuff's on there. I won't take up your time.
Yeah, you're great. Thanks for being on the show, Jared. It was really fun, and we'll probably have to have you on again because I just feel like there are so many things to ask, and maybe we'll do a show where we could do readings.
Oh, that would be great.
Yeah,
great idea.
Yeah, that would be fun.
for everyone watching, we just want to thank all of you for coming. Please be sure you follow, like, subscribe to our pages, our social media. We love building this beautiful community. We love having people on like Jared the Medium. Please check out his website, jaredthemedium.com. Also, my colleague, Medium Kelley with KELLEY.com, and then myself, mediumcheryl.com. Thank you all for joining us. It's been really such a special event and a special day. I've been looking forward to meeting you, Jared. So thank you for being on our show. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you for having me. It was great.
Thanks,
See you next
Jared.
week, everyone. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Namaste.